What's going on, family? Welcome to the channel, guys. Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings to you. Hope all is well in this crazy world. Make sure that you are protecting your peace. Make sure that you are striving to do better than yesterday. Make sure that you are set apart. You get what I'm saying? So usually I would do a video like this behind the scenes on members. We have a separate members channel to talk about these finances that I'm gonna be talking about in this video. Like say, first of all, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a brother that cares and have love for you. So I share this information. So maybe this can plant a seed. Maybe this can really uh, trigger something inside of you to say, hey, this is something that is very interesting, and just pretty much change your mindset. Because I'm glad that the information that I received from my mentor, I was running away from for years. You get what I'm saying? And once it clicked and once I got it, um, everything just start to make sense. And you start to just really just fall back and really try to get the information, really try to do your research so you will know, so you will have the understanding, so you can, have that knowledge to be a better investor, to be a better, trader in my sense and stuff like that. So guys, in this video, um, I had to stop what I was doing for members just to come on here on a public channel to talk about this because people need to understand like investing is very important. If you not saving is important, but investing I believe is more um, that will give you more value for your money. Your money will grow a little bit faster. Although they do have savings that gives you like 4% APY and stuff, 2% APY, even 6% APY. So recently, my wife and I, we always kind of go back and forth on this, um, and we agree on it. But at the time that we are in with this cryptocurrency, I know it's not the end. You get what I'm saying? So the end game, yes, we agree, but for this time that we're in, it's still going to play a significant role so you can benefit from it. So that's why I always say you have to know what's going on. You have to know how to take advantage of what's going on right now, of this bull market, of how this financial system is changing. If you don't, you're going to be left behind. So hopefully in this video, I can, show you some things to get you to think about like the old way is fading away. You get what I'm saying? This new financial system is gearing up for something totally different. And if you are not paying attention, you're gonna be left behind. So you gotta think. Just think of this scenario right here. If you knew the power of the internet, would you invest in that back then? Would you invest back in 1990s, 1980s? I'm not sure exactly the date when it was becoming popular, but I remember coming home as a child, and I want to say it was like early 2000s. Um, and I remember that we had to, so we had a phone line. We had to unplug the phone just to plug it into the computer so we can have internet. You get what I'm saying? So I think about times like that where it's like, people were doing that, but the technology, the internet evolved so much, right? And pretty much the same thing is happening right now with this cryptocurrency and this the banking system, the financial system, the governments that's backing this the things that's happening right now. And the average person is not going to realize what's happening if you don't know the information. So this is why I'm on here trying to say like, look, this is wild. This is wild. So I know I don't want to miss that investment of the internet again. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to miss that 2009 Bitcoin when it was cents on a dollar, when it was a couple dollars. And now, time after time, I'm investing 120, $200,000 in certain things, and it's just like, dang, I wish I could have did that with Bitcoin and held on to it. You get what I'm saying? So it's certain things like that that's really that you really have to consider investing in if that's something you are interested in. So I was doing some research and stuff, and I came across this chart, and it was very, very interesting, right? And because when people think about investing, if you go to a bank or something, I'm pretty sure 5-10 years ago they'd say put it in the S&P 500 and just let it sit over time, and that's a good thing to do, right? But things are changing, right? um, the S&P 500 is, a stock. It's the most powerful companies, 500 companies inside this ETF that you're going to invest in. So such as like Google, Apple, and stuff like that, uh, and Nvidia and stuff like that. So it's 500 companies that you're pretty much investing in when you invest in the S&P 500. And of course, you can invest in individual companies like that, but the S&P 500, that's pretty much the breakdown. So I was looking into this, right? So I was looking at the Bitcoin versus S&P 500, right? So let's look at that real quick. This is Bitcoin versus S&P 500, right? Historical performance. This is something that I was looking at. I'm like, this is very interesting, right? And shout out to Backtest by Curvo. This is the site that I'm using. I just typed in on Google. I said, "Hey, Bitcoin versus S&P 500," right? And this was one of the sites that came up. So this is pretty much a graph that came up. So I just switched it to USD here, and this is August time period, August 2011 to May 2005. So just a couple months ago. It's going to keep updating as the quarters go by and stuff. So we're just finishing, or a lot of companies are coming out with their Q2 earnings and stuff like that. So that's why it probably says May. So for this, this is the value of the portfolio, and I'm pretty sure like you can just say if you did invest $10,000, right, or 9,000, just from this point in 2011, 2012, September 2011, right? So the S&P 500, just say you invested 9,000, 297, it says. And Bitcoin, just say you invested $6,025, right? 2011. As time goes on, let's see this spike right here. So blue is Bitcoin, red is the S&P 500, which nothing is wrong with the S&P 500. I'm not going against it, but I'm just trying to say what is the better investment, because your money's going to grow if you put that $6,000 in there, even back in November 2013, right? Just you investing that $6,000, your Bitcoin would have made a million, 1.3, 1.4 pretty much $1 million right there. And that's 2 years. That's crazy to think about, right? So I'm showing this chart because people got to think about it's a new way to invest too. You can't hold on to the old ways for investing, the stuff like that. Although crypto is super, super risky. That's why I say you have to know what you're doing. You have to know these charts. You have to know the seasons of each year. You got to know the bull cycle. You got to know the bear cycle. So that's why I say you cannot run away from this. It is very risky, but it's also very, very rewarding. $6,000 you invested. Just say even if you invested $1 back in 2011, you get what I'm saying? You will still have $100,000. That's a pretty good investment right there to me. So I wanted to do that real quick to Bitcoin. So current day, it says May 2005, right? You'll have $130 million if you invested $6,000 back in 2011. That's crazy to think about. That's crazy to think about. And the S&P 500 may, you'll have 62,000 $833 just from this chart, right? And that's perfectly fine. That's okay. That's okay too. Over the 14 years, you invested $9,000. It said, I believe. Let's see, S&P. Yeah, well, it says 10,000. Let's say 10,000. August 2011, 10,000 flat. S&P 500, S and or the in Bitcoin, right? August 2011. But current day right now, you're 10,000 in the S&P 500 just sitting there with a turn to $62,833, right? Which is that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. But if you invested into Bitcoin, right, and you held on, no matter how the market is looking, you would have had $130 million. That's crazy to think about. So let's move down a little bit, right? So the summary, the index, you get what I'm saying. So let's go to the annual return. So annual returns. Let's go down here 2012. So S&P 500 is right here to the right. Bitcoin is to the left here. So 2012, your percentage in the S&P 500 that year would have been a 16% gain, which is that's excellent. That's wonderful, right? But with Bitcoin, your percentage would have been 189 percent, which is like mind blowing to think about, right? And then the next year, 2013, S&P 500 32 0.39%, which is good. It's not bad at all. But Bitcoin, 2013, 5,428%, which is mind blowing to think about that, right? So that's back in 2012, 2013. So let's say if you did that in 2024, right? So S&P 500, 25.02%, which is not bad at all. It's not bad at all. Bitcoin 120.98%, so almost 121% gain in 1 year. That's crazy to think about. That is really crazy to think about. No matter what you believe, no matter what uh, is going on in your life and stuff, if you look at these percentages, it's like, wow, it's kind of mind blowing to be honest. So I just want to tell you guys, like, hey, you really gotta think about this investing seriously, because this can really change some people's lives. This can really change your children's lives. Like I know I'm doing it for the generations after me. Set something up, have the understanding. That's very important. Have the understanding, that your children can understand this stuff, that your children can know what's really going on in this world, plus how to benefit from it. That's the name of the game. That's really the name of the game. So that's Bitcoin versus S&P 500. And look, they have lots of information here. So this is what I was going through. I'm like, wow, this is very interesting. So let's say right here in the past 10 years, right? It says the past 10 years. Okay, let's see. Average return. Let's say total return. It says total return here, right? It says Bitcoin the past 10 years, you would have a 45,614.9% gain in 10 years. That's like that's mind blowing. That's mind blowing, right? S&P 500, which isn't bad. I'm not going against the S&P 500. 235.4% gain the last 10 years, which isn't bad. But which one would you choose? Would you want that 45,600 and pretty much 15% gain, or 235.4% gain in 10 years? Think about that. I just want people to think about this, right? So I did the next one. I did S&P 500 versus XRP, right? Let's say back then, let's see, did I put the USD? I want to make sure. Yeah, I put USD. because it does euro and Great Britain pound and USD. So to say back in January 2017, right? That's where it starts because that's, I believe, when it was a good time for XRP. $10,000, right? Cut it $10,000. You put it in there. Um, let's see this hike right here. This hike, dang, wow. Um, just December 2017. That would have been crazy. It just imagine you at the beginning of 2017 you invested $10,000, and then at the end of 2017 December, if you invested in XRP, you that spike would have got you $3.1 million in 1 year. Just think about that for a second. And if you didn't know how to pull that out, if you didn't know how to put it in the trust, if you didn't know how to start a business, if you didn't know how to do nothing, because that's the importance here. That's really important to have that understanding and knowledge. You can't just keep make that money and just be like, oh, it's there, because guess what just happened? You it just spiked up to 3.1 million off your 10,000, and then it just dumped all the way below 1,781,000, which is that's still a lot of money that's been gained, right? But if you do not know how to move around in these markets, if you do not know how to switch your money to certain wallets, to a code wallet, or to some like your bank account, if your bank account, which banks are starting to accept crypto. So back in 2017, that you will really have to get a professional to help you right there. But now it's a little bit easier because crypto is starting to be adopted into banking systems and banks and stuff like that. So that's very important to think about right there. But that same year, the S&P 500, you invest 10,000, you'd have made $1,956, which is not bad. It's really not bad. I'm not going against the S&P 500, but I'm just giving you other outlet. You have to understand what's out here. You got to understand what's out here. That it brings me back to, just say when I was landscaping, right? I had a pushing lawnmower, right? I would go do yards, I'll push lawnmower and stuff. Until one day I see somebody cutting the yard on the riding lawnmower. And I'm like, oh snap. I can probably get more yards done in a faster time. You get what I'm saying? It's always a better investment in a way, and that's what just popped in my head because somebody's cutting the grass out here. So I was like, you know what? I remember when it was a situation like that when I was pushing my lawnmower, right? So right here, just say 2025, January 2025, S&P 500. If you would have held it, or you put $10,000, 2017, January 2017, S&P 500, you would have $30,440 in 7 years, which isn't bad. 8 years is really not bad. It's really not bad. But with XRP, if you did that and held it, you would have $4.7 million. That's like that's crazy to think about. That's crazy to think about. So let's get down here to the percentages. So this little percentage. So 2018 XRP, you know, you would have been negative 82.45. Crypto is very risky, but at the same time, the S&P was down 4.38%. You get what I'm saying? So with this crypto, you really have to understand the utility. You have to understand the importance behind it, right? And a lot of things that was happening back then, people didn't understand, right? Banks didn't understand, governments didn't understand, but now they're starting to realize what it is. But as you see, 2022, right here, it says it seems like when the S&P 500 was down, crypto was down. or the XRP was down. I should say. I don't want to say crypto in general, but XRP was down. But let's see, 2024, um, S&P 500, 25.02% in 2024. It's not bad. 2024 XRP, 237.55% gain. It's starting to make sense. It's start right. Is it? You got to let me know. Um, let's see the 5 years. Let's do this average total return in 5 years. Right. S&P 500, 106.5% in 5 years, which is not bad at all. It's not bad at all. XRP, it was 944.4% in the last 5 years, right? And like I said, I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm not going to go through all this because they do have, certain ones. They have Bitcoin versus S&P 500. They have Bitcoin versus XRP, Dogecoin versus XRP and stuff. Dow Jones versus Nasdaq versus the S&P 500. They have Dow Jones versus XRP. You get what I'm saying? So I'm probably going to be, showing this to my wife because she has to start to understand, like, look, it's certain things that, certain things that we can hold, and it'll probably benefit us in a way faster in the short term and long term. So, you know, that's kind of what I wanted to come on here and show you guys. So I didn't want to, or one more thing, I did want to, pique your interest in this too. Let me see. Let's go here. Yeah. So already 13 African countries utilize Ripple and XRP, right? This is something I just typed in Google, like what African countries is using, Ripple XRP, because I saw it somewhere, right? And these countries that's on here, the thing with crypto and digital assets, it's in pretty much everyday technology, but people don't realize it's crypto that's being used. So, for example, just recently I had to send some MoneyGram, right? I had to send MoneyGram to myself, and it was instant. That technology right there is cryptocurrency. That's pretty much XRP. That's pretty much XLM. You got to think about that. You really got to think about that. But I just typed this in. I thought this was very interesting. Ripple locations in Africa: Benin, Burkina Faso, uh, Cote Verde, um, Egypt, Ghana, Kenya, Mali, Nigeria, Senegal, South Africa, Togo, Uganda. Pretty much, it's a lot of African countries that use this. And since we have been here, um, with the mobile money, uh, they pretty much use cryptocurrency pretty much every day with the mobile money. So I just wanted to show you guys that, because things are just switching, and if you do not understand this skill set, if you do not understand what is really going on, what is changing, and you're just sitting there like, oh, because I thought the same thing. I really did. I really thought the same thing about how cryptocurrency is going to play a role into prophecy, right? I still believe it, right? But can you take advantage of this? Like, this can be a big wealth transfer to set you up on some land, to set you up your life, your generations to come, your children's uh, life. When you're gone, generations. I'm talking about. So it's like it's bigger than what is right here in front of our face. It's way bigger. It has to be something that you got to have a strategy behind this. That's all I'm trying to say. Our thing is to get the gains, so we can get the grains. You get what I'm saying? Get the gains so we can get the grains and be sustained, right? Yeah, that's solid right there. That's a good strategy. Get the gains, get the percentages, get the grains, get the land, get the get the food. You get what I'm saying? And sustain yourself. And sustain. Build off grid. Learn how to be off grid. So that's the name of the game because we know what's coming. Like you gotta play chess. You gotta play chess. I always say this. This is why I play chess with my children now. Like you gotta be 2, 3 moves ahead because they've been playing chess. They've been ahead a long time. But now it's up to you to realize what's very important and how can you get there? How can you beat them there and save your own life, save the generations after you? You get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do this just for my family here. I'm trying to do it for my whole family. Once they realize and wake up to what's to come and what's to be. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, guys, that's what I wanted to come on here to show you guys. I was going to do this behind the scenes. So I hope you guys enjoy this information. Leave your comments below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because these things that I'm talking about, like the things that we talk about on this channel, we realize that people need to, these are the most important things. Like really, these are the most important things to think about, to study, to get an understanding, to know before things happen, before prophecy unfold. So hope you guys enjoyed this information. I will talk to you in the next video. Have a blessed day. Seek peace, seek wisdom and understanding. All praises to the Most High Yahuwah. And yes, shalom, shalom, family.